The Lift & Co. Cannabis Expo returns to the Metro Toronto Convention Centre, November 18th to the 21st. Discover and learn about all things cannabis. Get your tickets at liftexpo.ca. Must be 19 plus to enter and attend.
Now we're really learning that there are so many applications and where you can have various methods of administration or delivery for phytocannabinoids and them to actually interact with all those receptor sites in your endogenous cannabinoid system. So I'm thankful for the research. I'm thankful for shows like this where people can get credible information and learn the latest on the research.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Podcast, the show that inspires, promotes, and gives you a daily dose of inspiration from the people who have used cannabis to change their lives in extraordinary ways. Here's your host, Justin Benton.
Welcome to the Miracle Plant Show, live on Clubhouse, 10 a.m. Saturday. Every Saturday morning, we get together to discuss this miracle plant with so many names and how it helps people in extraordinary ways. We started this show because we kept hearing all of these incredible stories every day at our stores, and we just wanted for other people to hear from people that use this miracle plant to help themselves with many different health ailments. Many of you know that we got started by looking for a solution for our son who was diagnosed with a very regressive, severe case of autism. And we had to find a solution to get him healthy and happy and talking again. And it led us to some research to this miracle plant helping children with epilepsy and seizures. We followed our intuition and believed that if it was helping children with seizures, which was neurological by the grace of God, maybe, perhaps, hopefully, it would also help our son and clear his brain fog from the autoimmune inflammation and not able to detoxify in his own brain. And again, our prayers were answered. He's no longer considered on the spectrum. And we believe that because our prayers were answered, that we wanted to pay it forward and teach. We've learned, share our story, give access to the same products, give products away for free so people can try them, teach people about this plant, teach people how to grow this plant in their backyard, have education and videos, and work with countries and institutions all over the world to continue to further this misunderstood plant. So today we're going to talk about how this plant, cannabis, hemp, sativa, you name it, there's 100 different names of it now, ruderalis, indica, sticky icky, it goes on. And we're going to talk about there's so many people out there, arthritis sufferers, there's so many people out there with chronic pain. We all know what we've done with this opioid epidemic that we've had these past few years. And people are really looking for a solution, something that can help them with chronic pain, with rheumatoid arthritis, with neuropathy, with fibromyalgia, with these other autoimmune diseases. That's something that, number one, just works. And secondarily, it would be great to find something that works that isn't bad for your body, that doesn't have side effects, that doesn't break organs, that doesn't mess other parts of your body up, to give you temporary relief from whatever that one symptom is. And today we're going to be discussing how this cannabis works with pain and inflammation. And the most unique thing that we found with this plant is that when you keep it in its whole plant, raw form, just like freshly squeezed orange juice, there's a lot going on inside of this plant. In fact, I've been playing phone tag this week with Dr. William Courtney, who did a lot of research in 2011 about how raw juicing, so raw whole plant cannabis or hemp, was having incredible results with people with late stage cancer. And that was the science that I needed, and to follow my intuition, this whole plant, high CBDA hemp in my backyard in Southern California, and make a simple cold pressed hemp oil for my son, which was really the bridge that we crossed that got our son back and cleared the fog for him. So today we're going to talk about how does it work? First of all, does it work? Does this plant help with pain and inflammation? And there are plenty of studies. If you go to our website, 101cbd.org, we have blogs on the subject. Another great resource is pubmed.gov. And if you just typed in the little search box there, this is where all published studies, you just type in CBDA or CBD or cannabis or hemp and pain or inflammation, you will see an incredible amount of research, hundreds of published papers on this subject. In fact, in 1937, when they had the whole reefer madness thing and they bamboozled us all by passing the Marijuana Tax Act in 1937, doctors in 1936 wrote 2.3 million prescriptions using cannabis oil for things like migraines and pain and inflammation. So when they passed that bill, the doctors at the American Medical Association showed up to Congress and said, "What have you done? You've taken away one of our most powerful tools in our toolbox to help our patients." And so there's documented research going back 8,000 years that we've been using this plant for medicinal healing benefits. And again, how does this plant work? How does it work? First of all, does it work? I think it's safe to say, if you go and look at our testimonials, if you ask the number one reason that people use our products and most CBDA or whole plant cannabis or whole plant hemp oil products, the number one reason typically is pain and inflammation. And it absolutely, scientifically and anecdotally helps reduce inflammation. We have my mom on here, Janet Benton Gaillard, and she's actually the head of research and development for 101cbd.org. And she certainly knows how to go down a rabbit hole with research. And I wanted to pass the microphone over to her to maybe go into a little bit more of the COX-2 inhibitors and some of the specifics. This is how it actually works. It really is. It's a nice marriage between science and actual human stories that you get to hear. So I will pass the microphone over to you, Jen.
And thank you, Justin. To understand how CBDA, and I focus usually just on CBDA because that's the form our company uses, and the research shows very clearly the raw, our fresh squeezed orange juice Justin talks about. The raw CBDA has many superior properties to CBD that's been heated or decarboxylated. And research showing, again, too, we often mention it, between 10 to 100 up to 1,000 times more powerful than CBD or THC. And if you ever want to know more about that, we could perhaps have a show on that. But anyway, today I'll get back to pain. And so the two main causes of pain are inflammation and nerve damage. And so the CBD magically does work in both of those areas. And I also always like to mention that cannabis, including hemp, is the only plant that our bodies have receptors just for it. And there's 1,000 herbs and oils and things out there, but nothing else has receptors. And it's called the endocannabinoid system, or ECS. And so that is the kind of the basis through which all of the cannabinoids work. And just one side note is our bodies make cannabinoids called endocannabinoids. And the really important one is called 2-AG. And some of the neurologists out there describe any kind of neurological issue, including pain, as being a result of having very low levels of 2-AG. And then just magically, CBDA, the raw version, actually is a mimic or an analog, or basically acts the same in the body as the cannabinoid made by the body, 2-AG. So therefore, taking the CBDA at that very basic level then can raise that 2-AG level. And so that's one way that CBDA helps with pain. And then the CBDA has 4 basic properties, and the ones that relate most to pain I'll discuss. The first one is balance, or we call it homeostasis. So CBDA, via that endocannabinoid system, literally balances every system in our body and then overall balances all those systems. And so it's just an extraordinary benefit that we're just seeing more and more research on. And this balance is very important for pain because in balancing the immune system, it balances literally the level of inflammation in your body. So it's a balance between inflammation versus anti-inflammation. So literally, very uniquely, the CBDA does literally balance the amount of inflammation in your entire body. And it also has the ability, if our immune system is underreacting, by the way, to even help create the T cells. And so it's a very powerful way to control the immune system and very definitely related to inflammation. And inflammation, as I mentioned, and nerve damage are the two main problems with pain. And inflammation is the basis of all autoimmune diseases that we have in America, in which we have unbelievable amounts and a huge increase in that. And so for any type of pain, though, our body sends in like fluids or whatever to help deal with the pain, but it always often ends up staying there and becoming chronic, and that's when you get the inflammation issues for pain. And then the second area for pain is CBDA is able to be a neuro repairer. So if you have damaged nerves, it's also a neuroprotectant. If you have pain caused by MS or Parkinson's or ongoing diseases that can keep affecting the body, it's a neuroprotectant for that. And to me, the most magical property is neuroregeneration. And I always keep saying there should be billboards everywhere about that. So the CBDA working through your body can literally regenerate nerves. And this was the basis for which we saw the success with the CBDA for my grandson, Justin's son, with his severe autism. And he literally was able to regenerate his brain from the point where he had no language and an IQ too low to measure to actually being above average in all those areas. And he's been in regular school now for 3 years. I also like to point out that he won the award for the best academic skills in his class at the end of the year last month. So again, too, that regeneration is huge. And one final comment on my grandson is that we knew it was his brain regenerating because after we saw this great growth in speech and improvement in all of his skills, he was able to remember some of the words that he had used as a baby before the regression, which happened about age 2. And so that very clearly made it obvious that he literally had regenerated his own neurological system in his brain. And so that neuroregeneration can also be at a much lower level, just like if you have an injury or whatever, it can help repair like a pulled muscle or different types of injuries in your nerves. So those two areas, the reduction of inflammation and then the neuroregeneration, are very important to explain how CBDA works with the body and helps relieve your pain which we're talking about today. And just quickly, too, the pain, again, as Justin mentioned, is the number one reason people take CBD and come into our businesses. And the most common pain is arthritis. And followed that is back pain and then neuropathy. And then things like fibromyalgia and lupus. And then migraines also play a large part in the number of people that come in and find success with our product. So that's your little bit of research or fact-based comments. And I'll give it back to Justin and LaTara.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thank you for that summation, and always happy to have you on. We also have a return guest here who is a world-renowned expert in the endocannabinoid system, and a celebrity as well. Dr. Lakisha is joining us on stage here for the Miracle Plant show. So what a treat to have you back, Dr. Lakisha. And I would love to hear your thoughts on, I know you really introduced to me more than just the first 2 receptor sites, CB1, CB2, in our endocannabinoid system, and that there's actually 7 receptors that our endocannabinoid system has that most people don't know about yet because we're all just coming along slowly here. But I would love to get you, feel free to weigh in anywhere you'd like, but I know that you're such an expert in the endocannabinoid system that I just love learning from you, and it's great to see you again out here on.
Thank you, Justin. Same, absolutely. The sentiments are definitely shared with you as well. And thank you for having me. I'm glad that I was able to join you today. This is a very interesting and healthy conversation. And you're right. When research started, there all the mention of the CB1 and CB2 receptors, and that was where the focus is. But there's definitely at least 7 that are being studied now actively. And the endogenous cannabinoid system receptors are found all throughout our entire body, our organs, our tissues, the skin. And I think now we're really learning that there are so many applications and where you can have various methods of administration or delivery for phytocannabinoids and them to actually interact with all those receptor sites in your endogenous cannabinoid system. So I'm thankful for the research. I'm thankful for shows like this where people can get credible information and learn the latest on the research. So I will definitely chime in when and where I can. And for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dr. Lakisha. I'm a traditional naturopath, and I'm a registered clinical herbalist with the American Herbalist Guild. So my core competencies are really utilizing herbs as the basis of nutrition to combat the symptoms of chronic degenerative and terminal illness. And I really focus on the endogenous cannabinoid system because that being our master regulator and being a traditional naturopath, my whole goal is to help people bring their bodies to balance or to homeostasis. And since the endogenous cannabinoid system has the ability to induce homeostasis and regulate the functions of the body that contribute to homeostasis, I really take a passion in focusing on that and helping others learn to use phytocannabinoid supplements to bring about that balance. So thank you again for having me, and I will be here to contribute as much as possible.
Awesome. Well, thanks for. Are you stateside? Are you back in Jamaica? Where are you in the world these days?
Well, I just got back to Jamaica yesterday. Actually, I was stateside, and then I'm back in Jamaica now. Definitely enjoying that.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you had a chance to swing by, and just happy to hear your voice, and happy that we were able to connect on Clubhouse. And what an incredible app it is. And you were a previous guest. If you want to learn even more about Dr. Lakisha and all of her expertise, then feel free to go back to a previous episode on the Miracle Plant Show and listen into that one as well. So thank you for swinging by. So LaTara, did you have something you wanted to add on today's subject? Thanks for coming by today.
Oh, no problem, Justin. Glad to be here. Like Dr. Lakisha said, it's actually an honor to be up here with all of you guys. It is. I'm really thankful for the plant. I'm thankful for the science as well. I really like the topic. In pain, tired of pills? Absolutely. Being diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 2011, and then also having a daughter on the autism spectrum. My daughter was diagnosed at the age of 2. She's now almost 19. Of course, we're tired. We're tired of pills. We've stopped those. It's really interesting because I have a little container, and I need to figure out a way it's full of old prescriptions that I had, and I need to get rid of them. I don't use them. Now I have a whole bowl full of empty 101 CBD bottles. And I'm just going about my day, and I'm just looking at this bottle, and I say, it's really amazing that a plant can do so much. If anybody is hesitant to try the CBD, I would just try to encourage them to please try to go ahead and get a free sample. If you're having any type of pain, if you're having any type of issues with sleep or inflammation, or if you have any type of neurological disease like myself, I would really suggest giving it a try. I'm just really thankful that I was open to trying the CBD. Having multiple sclerosis is hard on a daily basis. I get migraine headaches. I have issues with my legs, with walking, moving. I also have arthritis, like Janet was talking about. Arthritis is a horrible thing. I didn't know that arthritis could be so painful. I was actually just diagnosed with, I think, osteoarthritis, but just in my knee and my right ankle, and it's really weird. But every day I get up and continuing to be consistent with taking it. I do want to say that you have to be consistent. You can't give up, but you also have to try to eat healthy and try to exercise, and that's the things that I have been working on. I would like to talk too about how cannabis has been around for thousands of years, and it's been used in different cultures from around the world for years. And the plant is just really prominent in pain relief, and it's an anti-inflammatory, and it also helps to relax the body. So I don't know if you want to maybe talk about that, because I think some people think that this is new, and it's not. It's been around. I learned in school when I was taking my cannabis class at the University of Las Vegas that this has been around for so long, and so many people used it back in history. And it, like you said, it got a bad name and they took it away from us. But I want to be one of those people that help spread awareness about it, and that it alleviates your pain. It takes away the inflammation. I can say honestly, I haven't had to have any surgeries. I know so many people with multiple sclerosis who've had several different surgeries, hip surgery and different things, because it attacks your nerves. And I'm just grateful that I was open to trying the CBD. I'm grateful that I met my 101 CBD family. Being a brand ambassador and talking to people around the community, talking to families who have an individual on the autism spectrum, it's just really needed. So I'm just here to help anybody that wants to look at my journey or look at my story. They can follow my Instagram, because Zaria is she's changing every day. Like Janet was talking about the regeneration of the brain when she was talking about your son and how he's doing so well in school. I'm getting daily reports. She's in summer school from Zaria, and how well she's doing. And I literally cry when I read these reports. Like, she's really doing well and excelling in school. And I'm just so thankful. Just so thankful for the plant itself and the science, and for all of you that's up here in this podcast today. Thank you so much, Justin.
Absolutely. Well, we're happy to have you here, and I love hearing your story. And it's such a powerful story, that what the diagnosis that you've had to deal with, and the diagnosis that your daughter has had to deal with, and that you've stayed consistent, and that we were connected. And the mission that we had was to pay it for finding this plant, finding this answers to our prayers, and to help other families exactly like yours, and continue to pay it forward through education, through access to products, through access to free hemp seeds to grow in your backyard, and through education and videos. So and then that's the thing. And you're deciding to pay it forward as well, which is so beautiful, to go to school and become an advocate of the plant and pass it forward. And there's so many people that this plant has touched their lives and changed their lives in such amazing ways, that it's just a beautiful community of people that are here for the right reasons, that actually care about other people and just want to simply do good. Thanks for sharing those stories with us. Again, today's topic is that we are talking about here on the Miracle Plant Show live on Clubhouse.
This is the sound cannabis companies hear when they try to place an ad on Facebook, Twitter, or Google. The tech overlords' arbitrary discrimination against our industry is unfair. But until they change their restraint of trade policies, we need an alternative way to share our message with our customers. Cannabis podcasts are one of the last advertising platforms not controlled by tech monopolies. And for as low as $9.99 a week, cannabis companies have the freedom to play their uncensored commercials to customers around the world. Don't let tech bosses dictate how you run your business. Go to PodCONX.com. That's PodCONX.com. And for just $9.99 per week, you can go from this to this.
A.m. on Saturdays. We're talking about if you're in pain, or a loved one's in pain or inflammation, and if you're tired of pills and tired of side effects, and you're looking for a natural, healthy solution, we would encourage you to try this plant. And we actually have free products that we send out for people to try, whether it be a topical that you would roll on or apply to an area that would hurt, or if it would be a sublingual oil that you hold under your tongue for 5 minutes that gets into your blood system and supplements your endocannabinoid system, and works and for so many people wonderfully with pain and inflammation. So if you do want to try the product for free, the simplest way, if you're listening to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or PodCONX, is just go to www.freechillcbd.com, and we'll send you out a product. The only thing we ask is that if you do take advantage of that offer, please do take the product daily, at least twice a day, at least half of a dropper under the tongue for 5 minutes, to really allow the plant to help supplement your endocannabinoid system and get your body working optimally. So again, that website is www.freechillcbd.com. So with that, feel free. It looks like we have our first guest here on stage. Before we get a question, did anyone else wanted to add something to the conversation?
No, I'm always going to say something with invitation. One thing with the topic pain and tired of pills, I'd like to point out. So the raw CBDA does actually obviously connect with the ECS, but it also works with other receptors, and they're continuing to find more receptors that it works for. And one is the COX-2 receptors, and you often see those being used for pharmaceuticals like the NSAIDs. And when you take the pharmaceutical version for pain using the COX-2 inhibitor, it does work with pain, but it also blocks communication with the digestive system. So you often hear of people taking different medications, and then it affects their digestion, and stomach aches and all kinds of ulcers and things like that can result. So the unique property of the CBDA which also uses the COX-2 inhibitor for pain. It does not block the other route to the digestive system, so it relieves the pain without causing those side effects, the digestive side effects. And that is huge from all the people that I work with that have taken like the NSAIDs, because that's one of the reasons they often stop using them is because of those side effects. And then I'd always make one more mention that the hemp plant or cannabis plant is the only plant that I've come across that our body literally has receptors built in for it because it makes the endocannabinoids. And the fact that CBD is a mimic or an analog of the 2-AG, which is the endocannabinoid the body makes. So literally that raw CBDA is just so entwined with how our body works and essential to how our body works. And it's the basis of how it does relieve inflammation and repair nerves and reduce and remove our pain.
Wonderful. I'm glad you touched on that, the COX-2 inhibitor, because there's a lot of research on that with raw CBDA. So I'm glad you got a chance to touch on that. Dan, you were going to say?
I was going to say, I remember taking care of my grandparents, and one of the chores was this blue tray with each day had a little section, and you put the pills in for the whole week. And I remember thinking to myself, there's 7 little areas you put pills in, and they would be filled up, and we'd have to make sure we got it right. And I suspect that a lot of people are in that same situation. We're not saying you just throw that out. We're saying this is the first step in the process, and CBD, it's a lifestyle change. You start, and then before you're like, man, I feel pretty good. I'm going to take a little bit longer walk today, and I feel better after my walk, and then I'm going to maybe eat a little bit better. And then before you go to the doctor, and the doctor says, hey, your numbers are down with the pills. Or that's a process. And I think that a lot of people are like, oh, man, I'm going to take CBD, and I'm going to throw this away. Like anything else in life, this is a process. It's not a silver bullet. It's a process, and it's an easy way to get onto this healthy lifestyle process. But Justin, we talk about this a lot on the show, but I think this is one of the things that a lot of people really benefit from CBD is that it's that first step down the road towards a healthy life.
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful point. And that's one of the beautiful experiences and exchanges that we get to see because we do have physical retail shops and stores on the West Coast and in the Rockies that we get to see people come back and, first of all, tell us their amazing story, which is why we started the Miracle Plant podcast, because I didn't want just us employees and people and staff that work at our company to hear these stories. And we put some on social media and we hang up some testimonials on the wall. These stories need to get out there. And some of those stories are just Connie Wellick, who's been on here, and she had severe neuropathy after contracting shingles. And she was in pain for 2 years, writhing pain. And she did not want to try cannabis products. She was of the mind that it was bad and it was a gateway drug and all of the conditioning that we Americans have been put through the last 80 years. But she was in so much pain that she couldn't stand up for more than 90 seconds. She literally had to be helped and carried up the stairs at our old office by her husband to even try the product. And after 3 days of taking the sublingual oil twice a day under the tongue for 5 minutes, she no longer had pain, or the pain had gone from like a 9 or a 10 down to a 0 or a 1. And so she called it resurrection juice. And that helped her get her lifestyle. So she started to walking on the beach, and then she started doing yoga, and then she started eating healthy, plant-based diet. And now she's just like this energetic ball of energy. And I believe she's 73 now, and she shared on it when she was, and her daughter is a nurse practitioner, and her daughter was way against cannabis and way against CBD oil and was being fed all the same lines that the pharmaceutical reps would tell them is, oh, there's not enough research on CBD, which is completely garbage. There's been research dating back 8,000 years on this plant, and there's tons of it on PubMed.gov. But anyways, when her blood work came in, her daughter, who was nurse practitioner in the hospital, was blown away. She was sold. She couldn't believe that the blood work came back from a 73-year-old woman who was suffering from autoimmune diseases. She looked like a healthy 30-year-old. All of her numbers were in line. And that is the beautiful part, that CBD can be a gateway to health. It can be just an epiphany for people. Like, wait a second. So you're telling me you cold pressed some cannabis, like literally how you make olive oil, a press, and you just had some oil that looks like honey, and you mixed it in with some organic hemp seed oil, and I take this and I put it under my tongue, so it's just basically plant juice essentially, and I hold it there for 5 minutes a couple times a day and if that's pain is black and white, right? You either have it, an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10, like we've seen those charts when you go to the hospital with the smiley faces. And then after a week, if you don't have it or you have a lot, that is clearly a marker. And you clearly can know the evidence between having pain or having little to no pain. And so it's just been an amazing process for us to get to see these incredible stories and watch how it just shifts like you said, Dan, it can shift the lifestyle to what else can I do? What other changes can I make in my life that will help? So I'm really glad that you brought that up. And it looks like we also had Damalia. Did you have a question or a comment?
Yes, actually, hello everyone. I'm from India and I just have two questions. One is that if I require any medical prescription to use your product, CBD, or I can use it without a prescription. And the second question is it available in India?
Good question. The United States, where we're located, we passed a farm bill in 2018 that made hemp CBD anything less than 0.3% THC, which is our products, completely legal and available without any prescriptions. So there's that. Every country is a little bit different, and every customs for every country is a little bit different. India is one of the absolute landmarks of where cannabis came from. I know you know with bong and the drinks that are there for celebratory holidays and what have you. There's so much tradition that goes with India and cannabis. And because we're a .org and we're on a mission to heal the world and reach 1 billion people by 2025, we send our products all over the world, many times covering shipping. Sometimes they get caught up in customs, sometimes they don't. Most places are fine. Certain countries are a little more radical about things, so we will stay away from countries that are just blatantly, they consider CBD oil some type of hard drug or something with their laws and regulations. But yeah, if you wanted to try a product, just reach out to me on Instagram, or you can go to our website or whatever, because our mission really is to heal the world. And however we can educate and introduce this plant and these products to new countries and new governments. We work with the Bob Holden Law Group, and he's set up an incredible network of international relationships with governments and leaders and institutions around the world, so we can educate. And there are governments out there that just want their people to be healthy. And there are relationships and there's laws that are being put in place that actually give free access to the citizens of countries, especially in Latin America. By all means, reach out to me, or you can go to the www.freechillcbd.com, or if you reach out to me, we would obviously ask that you cover shipping if we're going to start sending stuff on a regular basis, but I'll dig a little deeper. And like I said, this is medicine for people. People use it as medicine. It helps people in extraordinary ways. So sending it out all over the world is definitely part of our mission. So I hope, did that answer your questions?
Yeah, I just want to, I actually am not aware of the customs law. So I'll reach you out on Instagram. If you get to know anything about the Indian laws, please let me know. I'll reach you on it.
Perfect. I'll look into it, and I think it's probably fine, but we'll double check and make sure. I know every country, over 180 of them have different laws and regulations, and things are certainly easing up and certainly shifting, especially regarding CBD oil. Marijuana or high THC cannabis has a little longer road to hoe, but I think the shift, as we all can see, the tide is certainly turning as that. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it okay for me to ask actually now?
Yeah, now you've got more. One.
I just want to ask about all the concerns standard medicine. Obviously, we have about toxicity, things like psychotic symptoms, people hallucinating, hearing voices. Yeah, in relation with CBD, hemp, or cannabis. And yeah, just want to hear about that. And obviously the other thing, dependence, addiction.
We have Dr. Lakisha here, and she definitely is a qualified expert on that subject. I have my opinion, which is probably very in line with Dr. Lakisha's. We all have our opinions on that.
For one thing, when we're talking about our products, they're made from hemp, and there's also the CBDA, the raw, non-decarboxylated hemp. So hemp does not cause hallucinations. It's not addictive. We're not finding in research any major side effects. The only research I found was one on warfarin, which is a blood thinner that you have to stay in touch with your doctor. CBD helps your body function more efficiently, so you'd be able to take less of that. There was some research on liver damage based on the totally isolated pharmaceutical level CBD done during trials of a drug called Epidiolex, and there's been no other any other sign of that other than in that drug trial. And so typically, since it's raw, almost like having a salad when we imbibe it, there's not the damaging or the common interaction with other drugs. Many pharmaceuticals are many complex chemical ingredients, and they tend to have the interactions with each other. So a whole plant raw CBDA is not going to have any of those issues that you mentioned.
Yeah, I would just say that, again, there's basically two types of cannabis that we're talking about. We're talking about high CBDA cannabis, which is hemp, which is cannabidiol, which is non-psychoactive. It does not have any hallucinogen or any of those types of reactions that I've ever heard of or ever seen. The only psychoactive, the most common psychoactive cannabinoid is THC delta 9. And so when you take the plant of a high THC plant, which is we call marijuana in our country, but you can call it just cannabis, high THC cannabis, the THCA is actually non-psychoactive. So as the plant grows with a high cannabinoid of THCA, if you were to eat that plant fresh picked from your backyard, you wouldn't get high, which a lot of people find a little shocking. The only way that you can have psychoactive effects or any of those things that you were mentioning is if you decarboxylated or heated the THCA from a high THC cannabis plant. Now, once you decarboxylate that THCA, you're burning off that acidic precursor, and now the plant will transition into what's called THC delta 9. And now that is the most common cannabinoid that is associated with psychoactivity, with psychotropic effects that actually can give you that high or stone or that elevated feeling and things of that nature. So what we're talking about is non-psychoactive CBD, is hemp, is something that is, our line is, if you want to get high, go find some high THC strain and heat it. If you want to get healthy, go find some high CBDA strain of cannabis and eat it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, before we wrap up, I want to thank everybody again for coming by. Janet, LaTara, Dan, Dr. Lakisha. Thanks to Malia from India with your questions, and Ani from across the pond. So thank you, everyone, for stopping in. Be sure to leave a review, share this website, share this podcast. If you think that there's someone out there who's dealing with some pain or inflammation, or we could learn something about this miracle plant. So thank you, everybody, for coming by. Before we hang up, everyone, we're going to unmute our mics and we're going to say heal the world, because that is the mission here at 101cbd.org and the Miracle Plant Show, is to heal the world. And so we're going to send that energy out through our voices for those people out there that are looking for a solution, that are looking for a miracle, that they may hear this podcast or hear about this plant and get educated and get access to it and give it a try to see if it can help them or a loved one. So on the count of 3, we say heal the world, everybody. Ready? And for those of you in the audience, you could say heal the world. You don't even have to be on stage. Send out that healing positive energy, everybody. So on the count of 3, let's say heal the world. 1, 2, 3.
Heal the world!
Thanks for stopping by. We'll see you next Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific on Clubhouse.
And stay classy.